Scientist. First of all, let me say welcome to the Musical Heatwave. Welcome to London.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, this is the first time. It was a very warm welcome.
Indeed.
Thank you. Yes.
I haven't seen a man sweat so much and work so hard.
I know. It's a good thing I didn't have jerry curls.
If you did, you would have problems.
I would have serious problem like the late Michael Jackson, but good thing.
I want to ask you about the board you're using tonight for your mixing. Tell me about that.
It's a Behringer. What we had was to rig it. None of these consoles, they're not designed to do what you see I do in here. We had was to hack it to do it. Yeah.
Like in the old days when you had to rig things to make sure.
To rig it. None of it, no one was ever thinking of a console could do that. We had was to rig it to do these things.
How does it feel to be up front, right in front of the public? How does it feel? Because you are the star of the show, so to speak. Because normally you're in the background, you're mixing, and here you are up front.
I've grown some balls. First, I was kind of nervous of it, but I eventually got into it, and it's all about making everybody feel good, have a good time. Yes.
And it's just adding a different aspect to the whole music business, isn't it? Because this was like something that you would never heard of. Back in the day, the mixer up front there showing you how it's done, because usually it's a secret.
Yes, if you're going back to the first album, that one there, the Scientist Clash, that is where every other engineer get the idea from to go on stage as an engineer. Mad Professor was the first one to do it, actually. Yeah.
There's a intro that we hear Bonnie Lee talking about Pat Kelly. Go ahead, Pat Kelly, you're a boy, scientist. You remember that?
These guys.
I gotta touch you on that one.
You know something? To be honest, I come inside here and I hear a bunch of records that I completely forgot about. So that's probably one more of them.
Tell me, what was the feeling that was going on there because obviously Pat Kelly was the engineer at one time. He was
Pat Kelly been our school. Yeah. Me and Pat Kelly been our school, because what usually happen in the Bunley session, Pat Kelly usually mix the A side and then I mix the B side, and he never tried to stop me, fight me, anything. If anything, Pat Kelly encouraged me more than anything. I have no conflict. I don't have one single bad word to say about Pat Kelly.
I must ask you, do you think you've been misunderstood? The whole scenario with the royalties, with the mixing, getting the rights, getting the credit, basically.
Yes, a lot of people purposely, ever since I leave Jamaica, if you look at the record, ever since I leave Jamaica, all of that stopped. They can't get back the same sound. They can't get back nothing like that. Ever since I started living in Jamaica, it's like this vengeance of all kind of people that try to do this. They probably contacted the promoter and say, hey, he'll blow your sound system. But I'm the one who know to build it from scratch. I have so much people who never even have a conversation with me, have all kind of a shit to say. And all the things I'm saying is absolutely not true.
So what is the main problem you think they have with you, scientists?
Well, again, a lot of people who take credits for things that they can't do. No time come for them to do it on their own, they can't do it. So a lot of people used to take credit, producer this, producer that. But 9 out of 10 times when we're making these albums, the producer wasn't there. And then the producer doesn't really have the skill either. You could call a person an executive producer, but what you witnessed there is not something that a producer can do.
Because a lot of the times, how you mix was on the spot, wasn't it? It's what you're feeling at the time.
It's all spontaneous, because a producer back in those times, they book 4 hours and they want to mix the whole album, and we did it. So you don't have any time to calculate, rehearse anything. It's all spontaneous on the spot.
So when did you realize that you had this genius for electronics? Tell me.
My father was an electronic engineer. And like every other kid, your father gone, you play with his whatever. And that was my first introduction to electronics.
And then, of course, we talk about jammies, tubbies, and a lot of people got the misconception that jammies taught you.
No. Let's set the record. Let's set this record straight. I am Jammy's teacher. Jammies, I'm telling you plain, I'm your teacher. But here's what factual. Ever since I leave Jamaica, he can't do anything like that. That's a fact. Right? I, one at a time, even gathered more experience than Tubbies. The sound that here was coming from Jamaica is I developed up. And the only reason why it stopped, the same musician, same everything down there, why it stopped? Because I left. I was the one who developed up. Like 90% of the songs that you play here, in here tonight, I mix it. And it's I develop that type of sound, out to get the drums, out to get the bass sound like that. So after I left to America, all of that stopped in Jamaica. That's a fact. You don't take my word for it.
We know, because we've been following it, myself and Ranks. We've been following it from we were so high, you know.
But these are facts. Anybody doubt me, you can go back. I leave Jamaica in 1985. The last person I worked was Tough Gong. When I started working at Tough Gong, Yabiu and everybody and their grandmother start work there, because I now start getting Tough Gong to sound the way Bob Marley even records never sound. And then Channel 1, I leave, Channel 1 closed, then Tough Gong becomes a new thing until the time I left. And after I left, all of that technique, it stopped, because Jammies used to sit down beside me. This is a fact, I'm not telling any lies. Like a half-pint album, Poochiloo, and all the Johnny Osborne, is I record them, I mix them. Jammies was my student. Jammies doesn't know how to record a live drum. Why is it he can't do it? These are facts. And even tonight, the same sling thing with him. Yeah. You heard what we did with it. Yeah. These are facts. And not sound like I'm bragging, but the discography speaks for itself.
Of course. Well, again, I ask you, why is it that you are not credited, and why is it that you are losing so much financial returns?
Because they have this misconception. Here's what. You have a bunch of people in the recording business. They want to screw things for their own financial gain. And generically, an engineer, as everybody knows it, is not the person that people pay to come inside of a place.
Yeah, true.
Right? And as you witness for yourself there tonight, is something that the engineer create.
Indeed.
Right? Jamaica, right, starting with King Tubbies, was the first one to turn the console into a musical instrument. Well, Tubbies invented the Model T of dub, and I took it to the different levels. I was the one who put on the computer, this blah 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 on it, which is fact. Right, but so a lot of people they want to say, oh well, there's just an engineer. It's not standard engineering. This is why when I leave Jamaica, the whole thing stopped, because it's not standard engineering.
So can I ask you, were you aware that a lot of these albums that were being released by Greensleeves mainly, which featured scientists, were you aware that they were being released, and did you have any rights when it comes?
Well,
how did it work?
Well, here's what. When we're mixing the albums, the producer wasn't there. That's the first thing.
Right.
He was not there. I mixed them on my own time because I was the one who was in charge at Tubby's. Right. Tubby's didn't even come to the studio. Right, the last record Tubby's mixed with anybody was Weather Balloon with U Brown. That was the last song. After that, Tubby's didn't mix any song for anybody. He pretty much gave me the key to run the establishment. So when nobody wasn't there, I mixed like these album on my time. The producer wasn't there. It has nothing. You witness for yourself. How is a producer going to have any kind of a creativity into that?
So how does
I first learned about it. My cousin that you met here.
Right.
Hey, what's up, man? You know all these albums releasing now because they didn't release in Jamaica, and Greensleeve didn't have any permission to do it. And producers for the record, and I want all the musicians to learn this. Producers does not control copyright. The producer could spend money from here to the next planet. He doesn't own the copyright. He might own the tape that's done, but the musical composition, the new sound work, producer doesn't own that. The only way, based on law set by the U.S. Supreme Court, right, under the Berne Convention, under international law, and under Jamaica-owned copyright law, whatever you create, the first owner is the person who created it.
Of course.
Right? The law, the law says if the person who has the money wants to acquire rights, he must do so in writing.
Right. Do you think you were kept in ignorance? Is that why you kind of lost out with so much royalties? Is that what it was?
Well, yes. They was trying to keep it ignorant. And again, for the record, all of a sudden King Tubby's mixed all these albums. King Tubby's really only had 3 albums. The rest of them is mine, like that one there what Greensleeve put out with King Tubby's. King Tubby's didn't mix that record. And then if you want to contest it, I'm quite sure somebody has the original with the original credit. But what happened? King Tubby's dead. His estate is ignorant of what the law is. Right? So let's start to put King Tubby's name, and it's really consumer fraud. Tubby's didn't mix those albums because Tubby's wasn't even at the studio.
So how do you claim, because I understand you can only go back a few years, probably about 10 years.
That's not
true. Well, I get to understand that.
Yeah, that's not true.
Okay,
well, tell people that, but you have to be wrong.
Okay. So where do you go from here? I mean, what happens now?
I start put back out everything.
Okay.
Because
so do you own the rights to those?
The person who creates is a person who owns rights.
Okay. Because, I mean, there'll be issues with, I guess, the record label, Jammies, Linval Thompson and people like
Piracy.
that. Okay.
Piracy.
Well, you would need to set the record straight, because a lot of people don't realize that.
Piracy straight up. The person who, okay, for example, just say that DJ there put together a record collection of his own blend of whatever. Anybody who wants to use that has to get his permission.
Sure. Okay.
Right? Now, as you witness there for yourself, is the law is whoever creates is the first owner. Now, how a producer is going to claim ownership over that just because what? He wasn't in the studio, or he was stand up in the studio. And then some of these so-called producers that they're talking about, when you really know the real history of them, what them really do, is everything but music.
Of course.
Like one in particular, he was at his heyday, and after he went, well, let's set the record straight. Let's call it a judge, because this is something that documented and produced. After I stopped working for Junjo, that is when everything stopped for him. Because why? He was not in the studio 90% of the time. He's out there chasing girls, doing everything but producing. This is fact. So here's what makes sense. Why after I leave, it stopped?
Well, that's a good question.
Why?
That is the truth.
Because that is the truth. Yeah. This is what makes sense. The same musician there, the same studios, the same everybody. Why it stop? Why is it Linval Thompson can't produce anything like that again? Why is none of the records coming from Jamaica can't sound like that again? Why? The only thing that makes logical sense, because I created the sound and was the leader, the chief innovator down there that's showing the musician all kind of things that they doesn't know about. Right? It's a marriage, right? You need a good musician like Sly and Robbie, and then you need the elevated electronic engineering to take it to the next level. These are facts. Sly and Robbie, them still down there. Why is it you know, one of the biggest hit Taxi, why is it they can't get back those drum sounds? The only thing that makes sense is because I created it for Sly and Robbie and the rest of them. This is facts. Or else, please, whichever one of them, please do it, let us hear.
Okay, let me just get back to your creativity. Now, are you forever thinking about new ways to actually make something sound different?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What's the thought process?
You know, it's something like divine. It's not something that you think about. Because sometimes I don't even know I do it.
Right. So tonight, was it planned? You know what happened?
None of it was never planned. We had a kind of rocky start today with some technical issues. Sure. And what's his name? The engineer that worked with us. He did a very good job. What's his name is? Dave. He did a very good job. I could stay up here, I could relax, and he took care of things. We had some technical issue, but at the end of the night, we got over it.
Mm-hmm. Because what we witnessed tonight, I mean, some of the tracks, we're quite familiar with a lot of the tracks, but the different, how you actually presented those tracks, right. You know, the Johnny Clark track with the horn sections, you know, it was such a different way you felt the track, you know, and of course the audience, you know, they were certainly rocking to it.
Yeah. Well, yes. Here's what: if whatever musician make a track and they just play this track straight, it has nothing in it that when you listen to a dub track, if you listen to 100 times, it sounds a little bit different each time. If you just let the rhythms run straight, after a while it becomes monotonous. So you have to break up that monotonous and you have to present it away using the surprise elements and a whole bunch of things, you know, that I've developed over the years, right, that get it work. Because, you know, I move, you know, the finger movement.
We notice, and the concentration.
Yes, and that is not something a producer or a musician can do. True. It's so spontaneous that you can't even write it out.
Mm-hmm. So what's the ultimate you want an audience to get from you, scientist, the mixer, the engineer, the producer?
What I want them to do?
Yeah, what's the ultimate you want them to feel? I mean...
Well, here's what. Music is a thing, right? The reason why I do it is to elevate people and try to get them to change some of them bad ways. That's what it's about. It's about bringing different type of people together. Because the world a couple 100 years ago, different people didn't mix together because of whatever reason. Right now we have a new society, a new generation, and it's time that the human race stop seeing color. Right? You have black races and you have white races, right? But I don't deal with a white person because they're white. I deal with them on an individual basis. I'm going to give the white person the same privilege I give you, or the same opportunity, until I find something. Hey, look here. I live in America, right? And I have black people racist towards me. Call me a foreigner.
How do you feel about that?
I laugh at it because I know it's not all the people is like that. So I laugh. I personally, I don't see race. Sure. Right? I look at you just like I give him, look at him, and if it's him wants something, I'm going to give him just like what I give you. Because at the end of the day, like I used to have a girlfriend, right? I used to call her the black version of the Ku Klux Klan. No, I swear to God. I swear to God. Yeah, she's very, very racist, and I had to let her go. And the question is, hey, your mom's an elderly woman. If a white ambulance driver come, you go and send them back and get a black one? Right. So racism, it runs on both sides. And again, some of the people, not all the people, because I come here tonight and a whole bunch of people who does look like me give me love and support. So that is enough evidence that is not everybody. But you see, the good always suffer for the bad. That's why I deal with everybody on an individual basis.
That's how you have to be.
Yeah.
I must ask you about tonight, the audience, because you had some young, very young people there, and also elder as well. And these are the young people who weren't even born when you were delivering some of those great hits.
Well, here's what. The dubs record them outlive the A side of them. Why? Because it has the things in it, right, that each time you listen it's going to always sound a little bit different. Like, again, you heard those tracks there and there before, 15 years ago, and you hear them now, and it's a different presentation. If you play them over and over, you're not going to hear it exactly the same way. Is why these albums live for 30 years are the A sides. Nobody even know them more. People even come to me and tell me they start listening the dub before they go out and probably buy the Barrington Levy.
True. Well, that's how it started, isn't it?
Well, yes. Yes.
Now, with time and are you still enjoying it as much as you did then? Because now it's a different. I guess it's another phase of your career, I should imagine.
Here's what, I'm more selective now.
Okay.
Because what I don't want to do is to promote an asshole. Right? Because if I figure that this guy here, if I put him in position, the only thing I'm going to do is step on everybody beneath him and show off and boast, then I don't even really want to work with you. Because I know that your head going to get swell and it's just a matter of time before you start dealing with me negative. So I look for the individual that, you know, them is about something different than just being a star and being on stage and the bling bling blang blang.
And tell me how you work with the DJs, because I noticed there was a lot of communication between you and the DJs who's running the sound, the timing, etc.
You have to anticipate what they're going to do. You have to think ahead what they're going to do. That's the whole thing. First, you have to know the music inside out.
Which you obviously do.
Yeah, because if you don't know the music, you can't have the timing. It's all about the timing and knowing how to present things and knowing how to break up the monotony. That to the audience, you know, they have something to captivate their mind.
So tell me about the different effects, because one thing I know that an engineer, a mixer likes is the effects, to have the effects around him, trying to find the right effect. How do you know when to put what effect where? I know it's all about the mood, right? And not wearing out your welcome with something. You know, some people that come in, they see us in an interview and they just come in with something random. You have to know when to speak. It's pretty much the same thing. And of course, the selection of music, because I mean, your career over 40 years, 30 odd years.
30 years.
30 years. No, I'm not so. I mean, how do you know what to present, what selection to bring with you? I mean, you're here in the UK. Was there any research going on before you got here?
No. The selection that I bring here tonight is because I know the people who from here, they know it well.
Okay.
And they grew up with it like people like you. And some of the young ones, them even know it just as well. I could have come here and I could have played a bunch of dancehall thing, but again, make no mistake, part of Jamaica problem that it's having is the music fueling the violence. That's Jamaica, one of Jamaica's biggest problems.
You think that's so? Because a lot of people would say, well, you know, it's because maybe you're from a different generation.
Bullshit.
And tell me about it.
Bullshit. Here's what I do. I conducted that study, right? I get a bunch of books, right, and I get a bunch of records, and I have certain couple individuals come in. And based on what book they pick up and based on what record, then you see what they should do, apart from the study, is go into prison and say, what you in here for? What you in here for? What you in here for? Okay, what type of movie you watch and what type of music? Bet you they're not the one that in there for drive-by shooting and all of that shit. They're not listening to Bob Marley.
True.
We already know who they're listening to.
Yeah, true.
Right, and again, when we were growing up as kids, right, we leave a Bruce Lee movie and everybody's a kung fu star. So the media has something to do with the violence, because I did a study, and all who pick up a certain type of book and all who take up a certain type of record, their mentality and their behavior and demeanor is consistent with what the record's saying. And it's Jamaica, part of Jamaica reason why it's having the problem. Because look at here, when going back in time, when it was Bob Marley and the Roots music, Jamaica didn't have that type of violence. It didn't have that type of violence. And then some of the violence spread up here too, because some of the same people, they bring that same mentality to come here. That again, I coming through the U.S. immigration. Ooh, Jamaican passport. Wow, okay. Because why? So you have certain individuals, they come and they do a lot of bad things. And when you listen to the music, the individuals that do the bad thing, when you go and listen to what they listen to. Okay, you inside here for drugs and firearms charge, what kind of music you like? Sure not listening to Bob Marley, and they're sure not listening to Pat Kelly.
True. So what's the solution? Tell me what's the solution, scientist?
The artists them have to understand, right, what they're doing, right? Because like again, we have certain individuals in jail in Jamaica, right, for whatever they do. And all of those people, they're not motivating them to do anything positive. Certain individuals that in prison for violence and weapon charge, when you look at the fan base, right, the fans, what they listen to, what their lifestyle, 9 out of 10 times they're caught up in the same thing as the artists that went to prison. The mentality is messed up. And we sure know them not listening to Bob Marley, them not listening to Pat Kelly, them not listening to none of that classic thing. Them listening to bling, bling, blang, blang. And then again, it demoralized Jamaica, because the way I see some of these women acting,
oh, yeah, man.
I don't think any man wants his mother or his sister act like that, or his daughter. You know, so you have to link the music with the behavior of the people, and that is Jamaica, one of Jamaica's biggest problem right now.
Well, we hope those who are in the know, they take note.
Some people want to keep things twisted for their own whatever purpose.
That's true. Back to the music. I must ask you about, there's a mix, a Marvin Gaye mix. Talk to me about that.
That was a rough mix.
Listen, that was a rough mix?
Yeah, I did that in about 20 minutes. Here's what. Any musician, any artist, any engineer, if they learn how to engineer reggae, when they go back to whatever genre they come from, it's only going to make them a better engineer. Now, I listen to Marvin Gaye stuff, and I hear all these big major artists. I said, what, really? They have millions of dollars in budget, and this is the best they can come up with? So I would just say, look here, I hear all the defects in that first Marvin Gaye song. They had major record budget, so let me just show them what it could sound like. That is not even me recorded, because if I did record Marvin Gaye, the type of drum, look here, it's the same instruments that leave from here or from America. Everybody using the same instrument. So why is it one of them have this big bandwidth, and why one of them have narrow as you hear on the Marvin Gaye? Why? Don't make anybody fool you. The technology came from Jamaica. That is a fact. They want to cover it up. They want to give everybody else credit. And here's what prove it. When somebody's engineer, you see them at festivals trying to mix reggae, then reggae shows up the weakness. It does the same thing with electronic equipment. You can have a rock and roll, and you have a crappy system, and it works good all night. Right, and when it starts to show up the defect is when you start playing like this stuff now. Then it is what caused the speaker manufacturers, the amplifiers, builders, this is what caused them to develop better equipment.
Absolutely.
These are facts.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Digital or analog?
Digital.
Serious?
Digital. No. Analog is no, because everybody been brainwashed with that. Here's what the fact is. A digital can get to give you a better bass than analog anytime. Why? Because analog, you can't get a tape machine to pass 1 hertz. A tape machine can barely pass 20 hertz efficiently without the distortion. Guess what? Digital can go all the way down to 1 hertz and pass it clean without the distortion. And it's not about my personal feeling or what I'm hearing. It's about the data. Right? You put 1 hertz inside of a tape machine at whatever volume. When you're looking at the output, it ain't going to produce it. But digital can do it. So if digital can go all the way down to 1 hertz, you can't hear 1 hertz. Probably a whale could hear it. But it's that efficient, and then it takes care of all of the problems that we couldn't solve in an analog days. Like, for example, you do a recording at Channel 1 on a multi-track tape, you carry it to wherever, it's not going to reproduce the same way. You have to go, you have to realign the tape, blah, 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 and all of that stuff there. Digital, keep it 1 generation all the way.
But I'm going to ask you about the digital sound, because there's some digital sound coming out of Jamaica, and I mean, once upon a time, you could separate the studios. You know, Studio One, Treasure Isles, right? You find Bobby Digital. All of them have their own sounds, but the digital sound coming, all of them sound, for want of a better word, insipid. What is it? What is it? What's wrong?
Is the people them? Don't blame the tool. Right, it's like say, like my grandfather who come up listening to quadrille. You know quadrille? He would have tried to tell me that a gramophone sound better because he grew up listening to gramophones. But gramophone can't sound better because why? It can't pass the full bandwidth or the frequency response. Digital can't do it without the errors. Tape machines, it have so much built-in problem with it. And again, the little desk here that you hear we're using tonight, you couldn't do that with an analog desk. The desk would have to wide like the table about a bunch of knobs. It would have cost so much. Digital, the digital is good. With an analog console, you have to have a whole bunch of patch cord and blah blah, and all of that just bringing noise into the system. Digital solve all of that problem. Me personally, I wish if I did all of these albums on digital, because I can do the same thing as you see here. It would even better. I could have made these albums sound better if I'd mixed them digital.
But in terms of what you have, we had at the time, I mean, these are just masterpieces.
Yeah, but I hear all the defects them that you don't hear.
And I must ask you, well, that's another thing I must ask you. When do you know you've got it right? Because I'm sure, as you just said, you can hear all the defects, but in the studio, when do you know that's it, I can't mix it, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I need to go home and sleep, or my wife is bothering me?
Here's what. 3 o'clock in the morning, a lot of people come from way in the country part in Jamaica, and if I don't work, they don't make any money. So I am tired, I can't even work no more. But this guy come from so far that if I go home, his only chance to make a record or to play on a record, and I feel, I get pressure. Hey man, you have to stay because they come from, we're from Ochi. Oh God, okay, all right, fine, let me give you 2 hours and do it. It's like that back then.
But how do you know when it's finished? You know, because a man wants to, boy, put more horns in it, put more bass in it, put more rhythm guitar.
It's subjective. I listen back all of it, and if you notice back in them time in Channel 1, you can hear the sound get bigger and bigger and bigger, because I go my list, okay, that didn't sound right. So what do I do when I go back there the next way? And why they couldn't follow me? Because they think it's this way, and by the time I go back tomorrow morning, it's a different set of technique, whole different kind of a different thing. Because I go back and I listen, like even tonight, I hear a couple of my mistakes where people think, wow. So here's what, to be perfect, you have to be honest to yourself. I hear you. Right, the reason why you don't have planes dropping out the sky every minute is because the people who build it said not good enough. As a result, planes, you have more car crash than planes. That is why, because look here, camera, remember first time Polaroid camera?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they say, hey, okay, we look at it, but this is not good enough. And it's what caused these new development.
All right. Scientists, listen, I know we could talk all night, right? You've just touched on a few things that we want to discuss, but of course we need to talk about the Jammys issue, which is a lot of people want to know what is happening at the moment. Because I mean, we heard phone calls, people threatening your life, you know, for music that you actually own, produced, mixed, and have the rights to, and yet still, I guess it's the business. But where do you stand in all of this? Tell me.
Well, here's what happened. Greensleeve put out the record on Rockstar game, the first music, by the way, to come into any video game. So I was just going about my regular business. Somebody recognized me in a supermarket. Hey, we have this new game. Oh, we like your music, blah blah. And I said, what? Really? Damn, I don't know anything about this. Hey, Chris Cedric, Greensleeve, you know anything about this? Oh, yeah. We did a license some deal with Grand Theft Auto. Well, okay. Where's the paperwork? You can't just do this because you see, you're not dealing with that stupid fucking Jamaican Chris. I know you sit inside our office, but you know, your office brains doesn't equal somebody brains like mine who do that high power electronics. Stupid idiot, give me the paperwork because you have to.
Of course.
You can't just because you think you're an executive. Oh, well, we get it from the producer. Bullshit. Producer can't assign rights.
True.
Where is the paperwork, Chris Cedric? Oh, we don't have to show you anything. Why don't you get a lawyer? Okay, fine, here comes a lawyer. Then they had was to hand over the paperwork. They went to Jamaica, they tried to get Bunny Lee, they tried to get Pat Kelly, they tried to get everybody, and the only person that could go, because he been always jealous, was Princess Slimeball Jammies. I want to give you a joke. You see that album, Scientist, wait there? Scientist Pac-Man?
Yes.
That was a real threat with Jammies, you know. If you have that album, I can show it to you. It's one of the reasons why I leave Channel 1, because everybody was jealous, including Jammies. And if you look into the background, you can see Jammies there jealous plotting. So he been always jealous of me. They go to everybody, they couldn't get anybody. And the only person that was willing to come was Jammies. Why? Because that's also an avenue for him to put out his sling thing and his music. This is what makes sense.
Right.
So I carried him to court. The rock star said, you know what? Let's pay him off. Because we can't do the wrong. Let's pay him off. So we paid him off. They were in panic and they couldn't get anybody, so they bring Jammies. And if anybody ever hear the amount of lies that Jammies tell, he was board at three, and one of the board, one of three directors. He was my boss. He was running the studio. He had the keys and everything is him. Then they make this guy call me. I'm sleeping. The phone ring from Jamaica. You go to dead, blah, 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 dead, and you go stop the law school. So I said, what? Tim repeated. So by that time, click.
Yeah, we heard it.
Start record.
And everything, which...
You going to dead, and Jammies is my boss, and when I come to America, you're going to dead. And this man here so crazy. Not even God can stop him from pull the trigger. What? Not even God can stop this man here from pull the trigger. Then who is this man here? This man here is a what? So eventually we talked to him because he was there and he know what's facts. You hear for yourself, damn.
Yeah, we heard it. We were shocked.
I didn't know all that. I have to go talk to him. Boy, he never tell me all of that. Because Jammies go there and tell him all the things to get him wild up. Now again, Jammies on tape saying, yes, I lied in court. So what?
Shocking.
Yeah, Jammies did that. Jammies did it. The princess did it.
Yeah.
Princess Slimeball Jammies. And then guess what? He said he was down the courtroom waiting for me. For what? The judge told him, look here, nobody talked to anybody on recess. You know what Jammies did? He said he was, you heard it for yourself. What you waiting on me downstairs, a courtroom for hour for? So he been always jealous. Why? Look here. If you notice our album, me, Jammies and Tubbies, you know that album with Fat Man?
Yeah, we know that.
Right? I was sitting down and Tubbies said, no, stand up, let Jammies sit down. I said, why Tubbies? I will tell you later. Because it's showing us have power over him sitting down like a girl. Because it was me and Tubbies was running the business. That's what it was. And Jammies been always jealous of that because why? When he wants to go into the studio, he have to ask me. And when I say, hey, Jammies are ready to leave, he have to leave because he could not touch the money. The only person touch the money is I and Tubbies, no one else. These are facts. Tubbies did not trust him.
You had the keys.
I had the keys. I was opening it up every day. That Tubbies didn't even come there. He grew up with Tubbies. So you can imagine the resentment. And then he can't do my level of work either. And then what? I'm younger than him. Way younger than him. So you can already see the resentment. So he been always carrying that resentment. He come to Channel 1, record Half Pint album, Poochie Lou, Mr. Landlord. He was my student. Here's what the fact is. Why is it Jammies can't produce any more record that sound like that? Why is he can't get the drum sound like that? Why? Because why? I created it and I didn't show him what I did. This is what makes sense. Why? Equipment get better. Why can't do it? What makes sense? He cannot do it because he doesn't have the technology. Look here, that marijuana don't make you stupid. him, he can't smell it. As he come near it, he turn pink. His eyes start run water, and he's like a vampire. You ever see when you feed garlic to a vampire? This is this is how he becomes. I'm just telling you facts. Guess what? Marijuana open up your brains, because guess what? You see all the stuff that you see going on here with the digital it was my envision. Because if you read Reggae International, I spoke about everything you see here that you see happening now. Tubbies and all of them were saying, hey, you must leave that marijuana, it's making you crazy. You're thinking about moving faders and blah, blah, blah. And then Bunley starts saying, no, he's a scientist.
Yes, that's what I mean.
It is true. These are facts.
You know that.
Hey,
that with Peggy Quattro. There was an interview with Peggy Quattro.
I don't know who, but I don't. Yeah, but these are facts, because everything here. Hey, don't have to take my word for it. Go back and read Reggae International, and it shows you before we even had a computer, and everybody was saying I was crazy. Now guess what? 30 years later, it's right here.
Absolutely, and everybody's riding it.
Yeah, everybody riding it. I wish if Tubbies was here to see it.
True.
I wish if he was here. Hey, Tubbies, remember you used to laugh at me, tell me to stop smoke weed? Look.
Well, he's probably up there looking down anyway, you know.
But these things are facts. It's not any lie. It's facts. And hey, guess what? Because the music business get away down there, and I could have back them time there, I could have see the resentment at Jammies and them. One day I say, you know what, man? I'm gone.
What, were you threatened? Is that why you left?
I didn't get threatened, but when I look and I see the trend, the type of people them, and I see what happened to Peter Touch, and I see what happened to Bob Marley and a lot of other people, and then I notice Jammies and certain people only want to work at night time. And then everywhere I go, I always have a bunch of underprivileged kid, and I'm training him like, again, Peter Chemist. He was a guy who was just sweeping up the studio. Hey, Peter, go around there, run the mic wire, and then him start run mic wire. Then by the time, you know, he become an engineer. So I always have a bunch of kids like that around me where I'm training.
And I think that's probably why you're admired so much, because you're not afraid to share the knowledge, whereas some people will want to hold everything within. But you
I am secure.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I'm secure, so I don't. Hey, if you can beat me at my game, I clap you. Good, because I just learned something. But you find those people that were so insecure. And again, I was the youngest engineer the world ever see. So trust me, I got so much resentment. Not even Tubbies. This is true. The only, and no disrespect to Tubbies, you know. Whenever I hear Tubbies record, it's still brand new. It still have the same impression of me when I was. It is great. But the fact is, Tubbies only work at that place. Like if you said to me, have you ever flown an airplane? Have you an experience of flying an airplane? No. If you said to Tubbies, have you ever any experience working at a console outside of this? He would have to say no, because there's none. If you said, Tubbies, have you ever recorded a live band before? He would have to say no. That would be the honest truth. Guess who have that experience? Me. Okay. It's not that Tubbies couldn't eventually do it, but at the time he didn't have that experience. Neither did Jammies and the rest of them. I was the one. It was one of the reasons why I leave Tubbies to go learn how to do that type of the work.
So where are you now at the moment with all of your I know you say you're putting out your release and all this stuff, but elsewhere regarding the Grand Arthur theft and all of that, what's happening with that? Has that been settled? Or?
Well, that's been settled, but Greensleeve, new trend. Okay, let's take his name off it. Right? Okay. And you see who they put in it. Jammies, when he wasn't even there. Scientist versus Jammies, he never mixed one track on that album. Jammies doesn't have that skill. This is true. Or else, hey, you're putting out sling thing. I hear it sound like a mosquito farting. What? This is why here I did that version tonight to show him how it was. Guess what? It's the same exact drum machine him get it out and nothing different.
Wow. Yeah, man, it sounds fat tonight. That was so.
Yeah, it sounds like a girl with a nice ass.
All right.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it. Couldn't have said it. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah. Of course, my brethren say I should ask you about the speakers, because obviously that plays a big part in your setup.
I'm not sure what he directly is referring to, but I happen to start build some speakers for myself. I don't know if you see. Yeah. Again, I'll look at what the major manufacturers have. As again, is reggae teach them this, not the other way around, rock and roll, all that foolishness. And I studied defects in those speakers. I happen to know the manufacturers, so I say, hey, instead of you do this, and then I find it produced the results that it produced. One speaker can handle 10,000 watts. Yes. Yeah, with 4 coils.
Yeah. Wow. So is that something that you want to bring to the rest of the world?
Eventually, yes. Yeah. Eventually. Because my cousin here was just talking about building sound system. Going to do it up some 4-channel amplifier that I designed, 10,000 watt per channel.
Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that. And lastly, what are your thoughts on sound system now? What's happening? I mean, we have from Japanese to the European sound system. What are your thoughts?
It's welcomed. Yeah. Is all welcome, because guess what, it's showing you that other people interested in it. If they didn't interest in it, they wouldn't go as far as to build sound system and all that. It's good, because guess what, as Lyda Cox rightfully says, right, sound system is why all these different people inside there, because they wasn't playing it on British radio. The only way these other type of folks could hear it is through sound system. These are facts. How long you live in England?
Long time.
Right. So you see the trend. Yeah. And as Lyda Cox rightfully say, that was Jamaica's biggest promotion in reggae. So it's welcome, because guess what? They're not, and again, I don't blame some of the radio stations, because I don't want to demoralize people any further in playing some of the records that I hear coming out of Jamaica. Sure. So, but the sound system is vital. It's like the lifeblood of Jamaican music. And guess what? Reggae got more popular in England. America just catching on, because guess what, half of the records that I hear play here tonight, they don't have them in America. The DJs them don't even know them exist. And the reason why it exists and why we've been able to pull off what we pull off here tonight is because of the sound system them that bring it to the regular people.
Sure. Would you say reggae is in a good place at the moment? What are your thoughts?
It could be in a better place. One of the things about it get a lot of fight.
It's always...
Yeah, it always get a lot of fight. It could be way better. To some degree, I don't want certain artists to get any bigger, because they're going to just get more powerful lawyers to get them off them bullshit. So please keep them, because look here, they can barely fill a place with 400 people. Then imagine if you put a place with 40,000 people, you'd be creating a monster that you can't control, because some of them so swell-headed. You're barely in a place with 500 people. You can't fill a stadium. I can barely control you. Then what happens if we put you into a stadium and you can't fill a stadium? You're going to have so much ego that you're going to shit on everybody else beneath you.
Talking about ego, how do you deal with ego from other people?
I control my own ego first.
True.
Yeah, I have to check myself first. And like again, the guy here that helped us tonight. What the guy here named that helped us? Yeah, he became a vital component. I could have get to stay up here. He go down there. He take care of certain things. So we work together. Right, you specialize in this, I specialize in that. You go do your things. We working together. We're not work. Yeah, we're not work, and that's what ego is. Ego doesn't have teamwork about it, because somebody wants to shine above the next person, and that's the first premise of ego.
Right. And what is your philosophy? What is it you live by?
Huh?
Your philosophy. Tell me.
Don't do to the next person what you don't want to do to you.
Yes.
Yeah, anything you don't like for yourself, don't do it to the next person. Because karma is a real thing, you know.
True.
Karma is a real thing. Again, I heard a certain individual, and this is something he said with his own mouth in an interview. Right? Let me leave it this way. Karma is a bitch.
Love that.
Whatever you dish out now, if it don't come to you tomorrow, it's going to come to you 30 years down the road.
Yeah, man. Scientists, it's been a joy, and boy, we just love having you here. And thank you for taking the time out, and all the best for the rest.
Yes, and please, not censored. Please don't put any sugar on it and dress it up.
Man, it's raw and uncut.
Yeah, raw and uncut, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Blessings. Scientists.
Thank you.